I like to think about retail government because I'm from the retail end. I've always had to make my living in the retail market. And retail basically is nothing more than being able to satisfy your customer. There's only three things it takes to be successful, and no matter what endeavor of life you have to have a product. And that product sometimes might just be you. Could be the coal, the quality of coal we're selling or whatever. Could be just you. Then you have to have value. You can't price yourself out of the market. If you do that, you could have the greatest product in the world, no one will buy it. But more importantly, if you want to sustain your business, you have to have serviceability. And if you can't make people want to come back because you treated them so well and the product and the value was good, you won't sustain it. Now in government doesn't think that way. I can assure you, government does not think that way. The mindset of government is we're the only game in town. You like it, fine. If you don't like it, that's still fine. Well, that's not the way I subscribe to trying to run a state. We have a lot of obstacles, and I said, just think about this. If we could permeate the retail mentality in every government worker in the state of West Virginia, and then when inspectors come out, they're going to say, hey, John, you got a problem here. Now, before I write you up with a violation, here's what I think you ought to do to fix it. Let's get together and get our people together. I'll come back in a week or a month or whenever the rotation time would be. And then if you've made those changes and try to make the changes, we're working in the right direction. Rather than going out with a ball bat and a cease and desist order and fines, I'd rather you spend the money to fix what's wrong, to try to make it safer, than to give the money to government. I guarantee you we won't fix it. And that's all I've ever said. Use a little common sense. And I think, and I really appreciate they have taken that approach. We're out there trying to help make it better. Government should be your ally, not your adversary. We shouldn't be, and you look upon us as, oh my goodness. And I've told people, I asked myself, when's the last time you dealt with the tax department? And when you got done with it, says, what a great experience. I can't wait to share that with the family. It just doesn't happen because you don't expect it to happen. Think what an edge it gives the state of West Virginia when people come here from all over, and you all represent many areas of this country, and you're treated at such a high level, the same as you would be treated as a preferred customer. You know what will happen? You can't wait to spread the good news.
That showed that he is the one that can bring the other coal states' governors together to be a force in Washington and to ensure that we do have a real energy program with achievable standards. He showed that clearly at Stonewall last month. And it was a great speech last night, Governor. On a personal front, he's a father, a grandfather, an uncle to many. He's a boat captain, an airplane pilot, and he's married to the best First Lady that we've had in West Virginia for a long period of time. Ladies and gentlemen, the most outgoing and always going chief executive that we've ever had, the 34th governor of our great state, the Honorable Joe Manchin.
Next to Sharon, everything was absolutely correct. As Bill just mentioned about all the different graduates we have here, and one mountaineer, that's, to me, it's not like the odds are just pretty much even. That's about all we need. Before I get started, I want to thank Bill and Chris and of course, Senator Rockefeller for being here, and all the Coal Association members and all of our coal miners and the people that do the heavy work and heavy lifting every day for this country. I also want to recognize some of our staff that we have with us today from the state. I have Stephanie Timmermeyer, our Secretary of DEP. Stephanie's here. We have Ron Wooten. I think you all know Ron. Ron's here with us. Ron? Back there. And also C.A. Phillips. C.A., where are you hiding? Right back there, C.A. Thank you. Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. And it really is. Basically, doing something and doing it right, it becomes a habit. And that's what we in West Virginia try to do and do best. I have, as some people would call the bloody pulpit, I've been fortunate enough to be involved in some national organizations. Now being head of the DGA, which is Democrat Governors Association, there's 28 Democratic governors throughout the country, and most of them are in our largest coal-producing states. So it gives me a chance to really have a forum with them. Being also chairman of the Southern Governors Association gives me a chance at having another forum, and also being chairman of the Southern States Energy Board with Ken Nemeth, who you'll hear from later, really gives me the expertise with their expertise and their research capabilities to be able to speak with authenticity and authority, basically, and knowing what we're talking about, not just speaking off the cuff. So it gives me a chance truly to take our story to the rest of the people of this country. In politics, we say, you better tell your story, because if you don't, surely someone will tell one against you. And in our West Virginia and our climate and our economy, we haven't done as well as we should over all the years of telling our story about our people and the resilience and what we do and do best. We're working very hard with the senator in Washington, continuing to be chopping away and letting people know who we are and how much we've been able to contribute to this great country of ours. And I get a chance in these different forms to be able to do the same. We can't settle for anything less than 0 fatalities. It's what we strive for. You cannot put a price on a human life, and there's not one of you all in the mine operations that I haven't spoken to that have always told me, no matter what the cost of a piece of equipment, the greatest value they have is the human value of the people that work. And I've been able to take that story and been able to balance this to where we put the human life above everything else we do in mining. With that, everyone has a responsibility, as Jim said. And working together, we can make mining as safe as humanly possible. And I think we're leading the nation and definitely the world in that. When you look at the things we've been able to do in a very short period of time, and I just spoke to AARP, and they said, divided we fall. Divided we fail, or we fall. Basically, the partisan politics that you see going on around the country, and I think the senator can speak to this much more clearly than I can. It seems like people just want to pick a fight for the sake of fighting, rather than just saying, okay, what can we agree on? Why can't we work and move the best qualities of human nature forward and help improve the quality of life of all humans? Why do we have to find something and say, well, that's mine and this is yours and we're not going to agree on this, and it continues to permeate. The National Governors Association, and I know when Senator Rockefeller was the governor, would say the same. We truly work as a bipartisan group. If I hear or see something in another state that's been working, I'll call that governor, being a Democrat or Republican. They don't hesitate to try to help me. They don't hesitate to offer, come to my state and I'll show you, or I'll send someone. And that's really what this country was made of, us finding the common solutions together to try to improve. And I think that hopefully with some of our leaders here, you're going to see some changes that maybe we can bring that civility back. But with that being said, we have done tremendously. In West Virginia, we came together one day in order to change. I know some people thought that we might have moved too quick or whatever, but basically what we were saying is that we needed to move and move quickly. And we've sent a message across the country that West Virginia was serious about safety and protecting its miners, and that we would do whatever it would take. Since then, rapid response accident reporting systems has been in place, hired additional mine inspectors, better equipment and training for rescue teams, cracked down on mine safety violators, strengthened mine seal requirements, additional education for fire bosses and foremen. We're doing everything that we possibly can to assist you. Now, what I tell Ron and CA every day, I said, and I tell Stephanie the same thing, there's different ways that government can work. I like to think about retail government because I'm from the retail end. I've always had to make my living in the retail market. And retail basically is nothing more than being able to satisfy your customer. There's only 3 things it takes to be successful, and no matter what endeavor of life you have to have a product. And that product sometimes might just be you. Could be the coal, the quality of coal we're selling or whatever. Could be just you. Then you have to have value. You can't price yourself out of the market. If you do that, you could have the greatest product in the world, no one will buy it. But more importantly, if you want to sustain your business, you have to have serviceability. And if you can't make people want to come back because you treated them so well and the product and the value was good, you won't sustain it. Now in government doesn't think that way. I can assure you, government does not think that way. The mindset of government is we're the only game in town. You like it, fine. If you don't like it, that's still fine. Well, that's not the way I subscribe to trying to run a state. We have a lot of obstacles, and I said, just think about this. If we could permeate the retail mentality in every government worker in the state of West Virginia, and then when inspectors come out, they're going to say, hey John, you got a problem here. Now before I write you up with a violation, here's what I think you ought to do to fix it. Let's get together and get our people together. I'll come back in a week or a month or whenever the rotation time would be. And then if you've made those changes and tried to make the changes, we're working in the right direction. Rather than going out with a ball bat and a cease and desist order and fines, I'd rather you spend the money to fix what's wrong, to try to make it safer, than to give the money to government. I guarantee you we won't fix it. And that's all I've ever said. Use a little common sense. And I think, and I really appreciate, they have taken that approach. We're out there trying to help make it better. Government should be your ally, not your adversary. We shouldn't be, and you look upon us as, oh my goodness. And I've told people, I asked them, I said, when's the last time you dealt with the tax department? And when you got done with it, says, what a great experience. I can't wait to share that with the family. It just doesn't happen because you don't expect it to happen. Think what an edge it gives the state of West Virginia when people come here from all over, and you all represent many areas of this country, and you're treated at such a high level, the same as you would be treated as a preferred customer. You know what will happen? You can't wait to spread the good news. You can't wait to tell that and share it because it doesn't happen. It's such a rare experience. Saying you're just not going to believe. You're just not going to believe what I experienced in West Virginia, the way I was treated, the way people took care of me, helped me, really sincerely wanted me to do well. That's what we're trying to change. And you talk about a niche. That's a niche. That'll make a difference. So we keep finding better ways to use coal. Only thing I've said, the senator's been briefed, I've been briefed, we've all been briefed on energy. Jim just talked about it. They can talk all they want to. There is not a replacement for coal. There might be 30 or 50 or 100 years from now. There's not today. With that being said, and I've spoken all the way to the President of the United States, all the way to his advisory and his people, and all the way down to the FERC commissioners and everybody. I said, this little state of West Virginia and all the coal-producing states, at our forum, we had 11. The 11 states that represent, I had 4 governors of the most 4 productive states of coal in the nation. There was myself there, with Steve Beshear, the new governor of Kentucky. We had the governor of Wyoming, Dave Friedenthal, and we had Governor Schweitzer from Montana. We had 7 of the top policy advisors of energy of 7 of the other producing. Those 11 states represented over 51% of the energy produced for the nation. 11 states. And what we've talked about, and I've told him, I said, the states that have produced this energy over all these years, this nation has benefited from the energy we've produced. We all have. We've fought wars, we've kept freedom, and we've been able to build an economy unlike any other. With that being said, now they seem to be, okay, this is what it's going to cost for this new technology. And with that, we want you to do it within the confines of your rate base. That means the people who are paying the bills. I said, Mr. President, we can't do that. There's no way in the world you can expect the ratepayers in West Virginia or any other utility to pay for all the technology, sequestering and everything else. It has to have a national policy. The nation has absolutely prospered from what we've been able to produce and all the hard work, all the sacrifice, the tragedies that we've endured. And all we're asking for is to have a national policy that allows us to use the latest and greatest technology to be able to use coal in a different form. And we're continuing to push that. I can tell you by myself, we won't accomplish it. 11 of us speaking out of off the same piece of paper, something will happen. And that's what we're doing, Democrats and Republicans alike. We're moving on to Washington to give the senator the support that they need, and our Senator Rockefeller leading the charge here, getting us before the committees that we can start giving this message out. I said, we can do coal liquefaction. I look at it in one simple way, security. If for nothing else, and Ken and I have talked about it, when you think that we're using 300,000 barrels of oil a day, more than 60% of it coming from foreign countries that don't like us real well. Someone come to me one time, and he says, and this was someone pretty high in the military, he says, how do you expect us to win this war when we're funding both sides of it? Think about it. How in the world do you expect us to win and you're paying both sides? We have to change. If you want to be in control of your own destiny, change. And energy is one that's going to bring this country to its knees. So we can very logically, we worked on this, and Ken and I and his researchers, by 2030, this nation can be truly independent of foreign oil. But it can only happen with using coal. and using the resources we have in this nation. It can't be coal against gas, coal against the oil produced here in this. It has to be everything that we have. Our portfolio, our energy portfolio for West Virginia, you heard me talk last night, coal. What can we do with our coal? How do we enhance our production of gas and oil? How do we use biomass? How do we use solar and wind? How does all that fit into it? As we do surface mining, if we want to do and we proceed along those lines and we do the surface mining, then can we give, and somehow looking at the laws that we have to deal with on a federal and our state laws, a preferential, if you will, an expedited movement towards the permitting of that, if that land's put back in a renewable resource. Do you want to put a wind farm? Put a wind farm. You want to put a solar farm? Put a solar farm. You want to grow switchgrass on that so we can have a renewable resource for biomass and biofuels? Then do it. But let's do something that we're making it productive. That's what we're looking at now differently. And we asked all people to come to the forefront to try to help us with that and the post-mine land use and things that we think that can be done and done much better than what we've been doing in the past. We talk of the greening of coal, and we know that we can. We know that we can be using it much better. We've been working with AEP. I think a lot of you know we've had a great discussion in working with AEP basically on a coal liquefaction or coal to synthetic natural gas, if you will, and looking with their new 600 megawatt coal gasification plant. It's a natural. It's a perfect footprint. It gives them extra capacity that they need. It gives us the ability to use the same footprint without having any more of a disturbance. It has the ability of giving us clean coal products. It gives us basically the clean carbon stream off of it. We can also pour metals off too. Much more environmentally enhancing than anything that's been done to date. And the cost is just absolutely exorbitant. When Mike Morse first talked to me, I think the 600 megawatt plant was $1.2 billion. Now he's well over $2 billion as far as the anticipated cost, and it continues to. I've been to China. I've been on the foreign trips with Senator Rockefeller here in Japan, and we've had tremendous results from the trip. Of course, he opens many doors, as you can imagine, but he opens the door, and it's up to us to make sure that we follow through, and we've been working great as a team together, and it works well. In China, I was in China, and I've been from Shanghai all the way up to Shaanxi province and then to Beijing, and talking to the coal people, and I said, this is what I told them in China. I said, let me think about it. I said, whatever you do in China to control your pollution, no one's going to believe you're for real. No one's going to believe you're serious about it. Now, I'm speaking to some of the top Chinese officials in the Communist Party. I says, why don't you think about partnering up, and let's take West Virginia. Why don't you think about partnering up with a company in West Virginia about truly investing your money with the latest and greatest of technology so that the rest of the world can see that you're serious about cleaning up the environment, using coal in a much more productive and cleaner and greener way. I says, then they'll take you serious. And I said, we'd like to work with you on mine safety. We'd like to have this exchange, and we've started this dialogue now. We're trying everything that we can to bring this world together, and it'll all start right here from West Virginia. And I can only say that it's truly been a humbling experience in the position I have right now, and working with so many great people around the state, so many people that care. And sometimes we get a bad rap, and I tell people that I have worked with people who truly have put the quality of life first, have tried to improve the quality of life, diversify our economy, make sure we're able to pay our bills, make sure we're getting our house in order. We've done all that. Make sure that people have opportunities, make sure we diversify our economy, and we're doing that too. I just see so many opportunities for our state. It gives me a chance to tell people how good we are. And I do that every day. I get a chance to brag on West Virginia and the people of West Virginia. I told Billy Stewart, I told the team, I got a chance to talk to him after the fiasco of the West Virginia, when we lost the pit game, and never has there ever been an opportunity to play for a national championship that's been handed to us in such an opportunist way, and we didn't take advantage of that opportunity. Those things happen, I understand that. Then on top of that, things unfolded that was pretty difficult. As a player, when I was recruited to WVU, I went through a coaching change, so it's very difficult. The players really feel lost, and you're just kind of in limbo, man, trying to find your way and just survive until you get a new captain to the ship. So I kind of knew a little bit what the boys were going through, and I'm thinking, I need to get up there. So I was up in northern West Virginia one day, and I stopped by. It must have been 2 or 3 days after Rich had left. And Billy was, Coach Billy Stewart was the assistant head coach and interim coach at that time. We were talking. They were in the practice facility, and he said, "Joe, you want to say something?" I said, "Yeah, I would like to say something." And I'm looking, thinking, what can I say to these boys to let them know? And I said, "I'm here, first of all, let you know this entire state supports you. We're proud of you. You've given us more exposure in 1 year than we've had any time in the history of our state. You've been able to show the best and the brightest of West Virginia, and we appreciate that." Now I said, my father always told me the best steel in the world comes out of the hottest fires. And boys, we're going to have to find out how good this West Virginia steel is. That's all I can tell you. I think it's pretty good. There's other people that might doubt you. It's only you, in a very short period of your life, is going to have a chance to define yourself like no other person. And you're just going to have to find out what you have inside of you and what you're made of. I've said most of these kids are not from West Virginia. And I says, don't you worry about making me proud. You made me proud when you decided to come here. You make yourself proud now. And that's about all I said to them. Got them, let them know that we're behind them. And I'll never forget, out at Tempe, I went out to the game, and so it was about 2 days before I went to the practice, and I was standing there talking. I says, "How good is this West Virginia steel?" And I could tell right then Oklahoma was in trouble. I knew right then that we were going to play a heck of a game. Well, the rest is history, as you know now. But it's just something special about our state, the way we come together, and the way you help us. And Cole's always been a leader there. You've always contributed in so many ways, in helping through education, through the research now. And I want you all to know, we have made, as a state of West Virginia, a major commitment. The announcement I made last night for the Bucks for Jobs puts $50 million. $35 million will go into WVU, $15 million goes into Marshall for these research institutions. And we are making them step to the plate. I'm hoping that you all, they have to share dollar for dollar. This is one-time money. It's an endowment. We use the spin-off of that to try to create new research, new chairs, bringing the best and greatest of technology, the professors, the entrepreneurial spirit, and then be able to diversify our economy. So I think that we've made a commitment, and we've pretty much put the gauntlet down of what we think we can do and what we're going to do in West Virginia. So I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve you. Thank you for allowing me to be able to brag on you and tell people how good you are. Thanks. Oh, yeah. I'm hoping they're working on that. Coach Rockefeller just asked me if they're keeping slate, and I said, "Coach, I hope you're working on that." Does anybody have any questions at all before I got to run? I have to run to another. The senator had one question. Hurry up and leave because I've got to speak. So with that being said, I want to thank you again. God bless.